different things going on the real estate side, especially with troubled properties. But another area that you guys are focused on these days is more of property management. So what exactly is that, and how do you guys get involved?
Well, property management, of course, is the management of, properties, management of properties, and mostly is the commercial side. Now, there's a lot of, property management. You need, for those of you out there, you need a property manager. Whether it's you go to the guy down the street, however, most buildings need property management.
Okay.
Some buildings don't have it because they think that they're saving money. All right, but I just want to educate folks, and for people who are saying, well, we don't want to pay a property manager. If you get a good property manager, whoever you get, make sure that person is licensed. Not only that person is licensed, but that person is educated in where you are. Make sure that person knows a little bit about the property management laws. Make sure that person make sure they've managed a size building like you have, like whether you have a 20 unit and that individual has managed a 2 flat.
Okay.
All right? 2 different things. Or if you you hire someone that does a 4 unit, but you have a co-op or a condo, 2 different things. Okay. So I advise most buildings to hire property management. And I'm gonna tell you a good example. It's like we've walked into property, people have walked into other property and they're not managed properly, and now you got to do everything over. Okay. So I advise the public. I do advise, but if you have a property that's going through issues, seek someone out that can help you.
Got it.
Seek someone that can get your bills paid on time. If they got to go to court, if they got to redo your bylaws, if they have to, deal with contractors, because property management is you're dealing with sometimes a lot of contractors, and if you have a project going, you need a project manager. These are just things that you need. For example, if you're having problems with your back stairs, and the city comes out and gives you a ticket, how do you deal with that? And some of you guys know the porch system. The city is kind of gone crazy on porches. Right. So if you don't have a property manager that can deal with these things when it happens, and then you will need an architect, and you may need a building engineer, and you'll need drawings and plans and permits. And so property management is not just hey, I'm going to collect your rent.
Okay.
Right.
So the question is, again, for people who own property that want to continue to own this property and have it maintained properly, where they don't want to have to put themselves through having to go to court, having to find tenants, having to do all the things in maintaining these properties, you can assist.
Yeah, not only me, but as long as you find a decent property manager. I could, of course, but any property management team out there that's licensed should be able to assist. Yeah. They should be able to walk into someone's property and say, okay, we need to do this and this and this, and these are the properties. These are the immediate needs. You have what's called, these are just like property management language. You have what's called life and safety, and you find that they may talk about it in court. What's your life and safety issues? Right. So you go into a property and okay, there's no carbon monoxide detectors. There's no, this is falling apart. So there's no lighting. There's no, you know what I'm saying?
Now you guys maintain it. It's like with me. When you have a property that may be transferring ownership through an estate, where you're the heirs right now, that property needs to be managed. And so it's actually allocated through the courts to divide it into the heirs. And you would help in that type of property management.
Yeah, any manager can do that for you.
Okay. Now, of course, you do have a beautiful young lady working with you, so if they needed to get things that were down, and put her face on and say, hey, we can take care of this, is that something you'd help with?
Of course. That's something I can definitely assist any potential client.
Okay. Yeah. So we're saying right now for the group, if you're going here now, I got a lot of seniors, a lot of older people right now that are inheriting these properties from their parents. It needs to be maintained. And right now, I used to build tires and work in factories. I don't do real estate, so right now I need help. And right now, you guys are able to come to the table and say, let's make this work for you. So right now, I don't know the laws, I don't know the procedures, I know somebody can help me, and that's where you guys can come to do it.
And absolutely, I'm gonna just say, you tap into something because it just kind of triggered my mind. Seniors, you know, there's a buildings out there that needs to be managed by, you know, that has lots of seniors in it. And I'm going to say, if you're a senior and you're looking at this and your building's not managed properly, seek someone out that's licensed, because a lot of people get their friends to manage, and you know, you know, I've run into senior buildings that need to be redone properly. So I'm gonna say for the seniors, you know, get licensed people that understands what it takes to manage a property, who can walk your property, make sure that your furnaces and your you know, manage your projects properly. So that's important. Only because you said seniors, that came to mind, for the fact that there are some properties out there that are owned by, but I'm not gonna say owned by a senior, have maybe 80% seniors.
Okay. Now we got this issue also that's coming up with the city now, that we're coming into the period where snow will be going around the place and properties have to be managed. What's going to be the codes right now for the city of Chicago? Am I mandatory that I get out and shovel the snow? I have no legs. I got to shovel the snow.
Well, that's where your property management comes in. That manager will more than likely get bids for you, as long as it's in the budget. They'll get bids that actually go ahead and figure out, okay, we can do, you know, for snow this year, 2,000 or 5,000.
Can I lose my property if I can't get out and shovel the snow?
I don't think you'll lose your property.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to look at the guidelines here. Are people getting sued saying, hey, this is something that's happened, you didn't shovel the snow, so hey, you got to give up your property now, we're suing you for $1 million.
Well, let me see. I have not heard of anyone giving up their property because of snow.
It's first time for everything, though.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, but no, I haven't heard.
Okay, I'm just looking at the management issues right now. I just look at the world of real estate and say, hey, we got a lot of work to do, and it's a lot of different turns and trials. We got to go to the legal system, deal with the attorneys and courts, and get things done. But right now, the property manager pretty much mandates what's needed. So you guys know it. You've gone through the courses and laws, and you can get this done.
We can get this done, and you know, I want to say something about court too, for those buildings who are going through lots of issues. The attorneys are absolutely important. Attorneys, when they go to court, right, to make sure that whether or not you prolong if you're having let's say, for example, porches. If you're having your porches issues and balcony issues and all kinds of issues, and you're going to go to court, and your attorney go to court, I mean, it's great because the attorney does a great job in making sure that you know, you don't push yourself into a position where you can't afford to, like, you know, or maybe have the receivership take it over. I mean, so I love when attorneys are in court, but there's some buildings that just don't have the money to go into court, and so it's great when you have a property manager that can go into court for you and maybe not going to charge you as much as an attorney would. Okay. I mean, the property manager still gets paid to go into court, and some don't even charge because they're passionate about the building. But when you don't have funds in your reserve or in your account, then you need a property manager that can say, I'll show up in court and do the things that they need to do. For example, I'm just giving you a thought. For example, you guys don't have a lot of money, your budget is like very small, but you have a problem with your porch or balcony. You need a property manager that can say, listen, I know an architect. This architect going to do the drawings, they're going to put their seal on it, they're going to make sure that when you go to court, the judge will say, okay, you guys are okay. They can throw that stuff out or cancel, maybe not cancel, but write that violation off. So you have a property manager who understands that you gotta know a couple of engineers and a couple of architects, because the inspector goes and the inspector says, guess what? Your balcony needs work. And the first thing, and depends on the inspector, they may want an architect and they may want an engineer to look at that architect. But if you have a great property manager, you can go in court and it says, Judge, the inspector looked at it, but guess what? My architect signed off on it. And if my architect signed off on it, then it usually overrides the inspector.
Okay.
You know, I can say, I've been to court many times, and sometimes you have great judges who understands the process. And then the inspector says, I need an architect and I need an engineer. And you have judges who understand the process will say, well, why would you need an architect and engineer to sign off on a balcony when the architect alone can do that? Okay. And I've been in a situation where the judge says, it's okay. The architect signs off on it. He's knowledgeable enough that we don't need for the owners to spend money on an architect and an engineer for the same process. Got it. Right?
That takes care of that portion. So
that takes care of that. Plus, it saves if your property manager goes into court and say, "Hey, judge, I got a seal from my architect," and the judge understands, which normally they do, they'll say, "Okay, you're okay. We can."
Got it. Now, so one thing I have to come back. I'm a young person coming out of school that's got $200,000 bonus for being the engineer right now for some corporation X. Right now, I'm going to buy a building. I'm thinking, I'm going to buy maybe a 5-unit building. Do I need to get a property manager? Because I'm not going to be out there doing it.
I think so. I think you can always.
Let's ask her what she thinks.
What's the story?
I think that someone in that situation could use a property manager. Okay. Especially the knowledge that property manager will be providing can be a great assistance to them, especially seeing how they're new to real estate. That property manager will have years of experience as well as knowledge that could help stop you from making mistakes. Okay. And a good property manager will put you in a position where you're ahead of these problems before they come. So yes, you can.
I'm Joe Blow, engineer. I had this 5-unit. I'm raking in cash. Got tenants here paying the rent. And again, I gotta get tenants too. You guys gonna keep the tenants in the building?
Of course, that's part of the job of a property manager to help make sure that we keep tenants in that building and make sure they're happy by making sure that the snow has been removed, the lawn is cut, and there's repairs that's being done in these buildings. That's the job of a property manager.
Okay. So again, that's with my 5-unit, but I did have a condo that I still had downtown. So can I give that to you guys also?
Of course.
Okay. So you guys can manage that also.
We manage small properties too. I mean, if you need the help, you need the help.
Okay. So bottom line, you got.
But I want to come back to your question because I think I want to educate a few people who I want to educate the public when it comes to buying, especially, these kids come out of college today and they're making $80,000, $90,000, right? Mm-hmm. And they can afford. But for those who want to do that, and Alex is absolutely right. At a 5-unit building, you coming out of college making $200,000, you need a property manager. But you need a property manager. But I'm gonna break that down a little bit to like a 2-flat. Okay. Some kids, and I think I mentioned this before on the show. I don't know how long ago, but if you come out of college and you're making whatever you're making, you buy a 2-flat and you want to manage a property yourself, it's not a great idea, especially if you don't have the experience. More than likely, if you're coming out of college, getting a 2-flat, trying to do it yourself, you'll make a lot of mistakes when it comes to property management, all right? Because you're dealing with the public. And the public is not just, auntie and uncle. They will tear you apart sometimes. right? And they will. So I advise, and I've been in this position many times. I advise the public, and when if I've done seminars, try to educate in classes, I tell folks, don't jump and get it too flat without some advice.
Got it.
Please get some advice, or you will lose your shirt. I've been in a situation where I've actually advised folks not to do, and then they still do, and they come back and says, this is what happened. I said, I saw it coming down the road before you even started. But people who purchase property, just get advice before you do that. Don't jump around and say, well, it's my money. Because I've had people say, it's my money. I said, okay, it's your money.
I want a 5-unit. What it is? Get it done.
Right.
Now, the question right now, what are you seeing in the market these days? Are people still trying to get that first home? Or are people looking for multi-units? Or are people trying to do multiple mega units?
Well, I see a combination of people are buying multi-units. They living in one unit, they renting out the next. I feel like they see this as a opportunity to invest their money, as well as provide shelter for themselves.
Does it work?
Does it work? It depends. Some people shouldn't live too close to their tenants.
Okay.
So that's something that you need to think about. If you want to manage your property, and you also want to be the one that the tenant knows who lives upstairs and you have issues, is that something you really want to deal with? Is that a situation you want to see yourself in? So having a property manager sometimes gives a nice buffer between you and your tenant.
Again, there are tax advantages for living in your unit if you have this multi-unit type property. So that's great. You have an office and you have the tenants and paying the rent and cash flows coming through. But again, it's just a strategy that you really got to know the rules and regulations.
Yes, it sounds great on paper, but the reality and working with the public could lead to a different experience. It could be a nightmare, but it could be a dream.
Have you guys finished the book yet? I mean, it's a whole host of things that you need to.
Well, when it comes to having a 2-flat and it works sometimes.
Okay.
But we've also been in a situation where it doesn't work. And especially if you come into an owner who they've bought this $600,000 home and or a 2-flat or whatever, and they want to. It depends on the owner and their. I don't want. It depends on their personality.
Okay.
Because if you, the reason why I'm saying is because I'm thinking of one of my clients who they bought their home and then they want to control what happened upstairs. Don't vacuum at 4 a.m.
Wait a minute, you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm saying, you left the lights on. You're the owner, so you see everything. So I advise, if you want to do that, move out.
Yeah.
Because I know owners who says, oh, they leave the lights on, they didn't turn this off, they didn't turn. You know what I'm saying? They went down to the basement, they left the door open.
It's a format like for me, for my first 15-unit building I bought when I was out of school. It's not an easy deal to have a multi-unit building. And again, I'm not living in the building because this is on the south side. I'm generating cash, but you still have this property you got to maintain, and you got to collect the rents, and you got to keep going to court to make sure that the rent's collected. It's like I don't have time to do. I'm trying to make a living doing something else, but this is an asset that I have that can perform. And I go to people like you guys and say, "Look, help me make this work."
Absolutely, and we can do that for you. Okay. I mean, but I say any property manager can do that. Anyone that's licensed. I always go back to license because there are property managers out there, and I've been in a situation where they were not licensed, and not that I'm mad that they're not licensed, but when you look at the property, it's like, oh, okay, so you guys not sure what you're doing.
So if you're out there talking to younger people before they get these properties, is it better to sit with a property manager first to learn the rules and regs before you make that first step?
It's hard to say to learn the rules and regs because there's so much rules and regs, and you will never get that in half an hour consultation. Okay. So, but yeah, it's good to say, well, if you're going to purchase something, let's go ahead and talk to someone first.
Okay.
Whoever, maybe your daddy been a property manager for a long time, or your sister. I don't, you know what I'm saying, but just have a conversation before you purchase. You know, I mean, next year we're hoping that this is going to be a booming year for real estate.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
Right now we got an issue.
I got to ask you, what are your thoughts?
Rates right now we're looking to have them come down. Usually they'll ignite more purchasing, so there's going to be a grab for more real estate. And again, we have a limited inventory, so only so much inventory is available, so prices are going to shoot through the roof, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think with the if rates fall, I believe that you will have an increase. You know, it's still a seller's market, to be honest. So if sellers price their property correctly, it still goes pretty quickly. So it's a seller's market still. So I believe that 2020, I think everything is in place for a booming market. Not what the incoming administration going to do, but what has been done by the current administration to move forward to the next administration. So I think everything is in place. I think right now we're looking at rates at about, maybe it could be right a little under 6, 5 point something. Mm-hmm. Inflation at 2.7, 3, you know what I'm saying?
And the Fed says, hey, inflation looks to be in control. So
as if, you know, we hope to drop rates in December, mm-hmm. right? Later this year. And so with all that said, there's a good chance that prices are going to continue to rise. Okay. However, there's still a good chance that we're not going to have the inventory that we're supposed to have because of the fact that most people, or many millions of people, has refied at 2.3 or 3 point something. Right. So who'd want to give that up?
Don't want to give it up. But
right
now, I need you guys to put on the crystal ball hats and say, hey, what's going to be the future over the next 3 to 5 years right now? Where do you guys see the real estate market going?
You want to take that one? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think in the next 3 and 5 years, there's still going to be plenty of opportunity. If you have the funds and you're ready, I say go for it. Don't wait till tomorrow. Just take that chance today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So based on, I'm going to say based on the current the administration coming in, you know, that will all depends on whether or not, you know, you have these inflation goes up. So I don't want to put a crystal ball, but I know real estate is always, you know, the best thing to for me at least. I don't want to say for anyone else, but for me, the best thing to do. But if inflation goes up, then I can see that, you know, we may have issues. If money gets tight, then, you know, if money gets tight, then what can we do? We know what to buy if the money gets tight.
Here's a question, I don't know if you've seen it, but right now I have a huge population coming to this country. They're doing a lot of cash purchases. And how do you feel that affects the market? Is it pretty much driving prices up because they got a cash buyer who's going to come up and drive the price?
Well, what we from a maybe a year ago, I guess what was driving the price up? You know, we had these large corporations who was buying up blocks. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Yes, a lot of corporate buying coming in, a lot of
corporate was buying in and then raising prices. So I think there was a lawsuit. I think the administration, the current administration, was thinking about, you know, trying to get rid of that. Mm-hmm. I think they're still in the market, those large corporations. So I don't see them as active as maybe a year and a half ago, because the administration now was kind of, there were people like talking about it and hey, you guys can do this. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the things that was driving prices up, right? So we're hoping that, to be honest, the new administration coming in, whether or not they will crack down on that, I doubt it. Okay. So I think if they don't crack down on it, then prices still continue to rise. Yeah,
because for me, I looked at the corporate buyers. They're coming in and using this as investments, saying, hey, mm-hmm. we'll buy up this inventory and then we'll resell it at a profit.
At a profit.
And that's the logic that they had. Right now, they're buying a huge quantity of inventory. You talk about multi-billionaires, like, hey, here's a little basket here where I can buy more property and make a good rate of return.
Well, even Chicago, where we at, I mean, there's if you look at the different sectors of the Chicagoland market, and I'm going to use the southeast side, right, where you could have gotten a condo. I mean, the Viamille library is rolling in that area. That's kind of gone through the roof already. I mean, you can look at, and then you have the Roseland neighborhood, which is really kind of on the come up. I remember in Roseland 2 years ago, you can pick up a $19,000 property, all right? Now the same toe-up property they want $50,000 for, right? Mm-hmm. But that's a good thing, especially in that area. I mean, I love the fact that that area is moving because it's been so deserted for so long, right? So I like the fact that you can walk the property in Roseland neighborhood. I remember we dealt with a 6 flat in Roseland over at for like $109,000 a couple of years ago, right? And that was a 6 flat. Now that 6 flat is triple the price.
It's interesting world because I get the inventory comes in, I get single families that come in, especially in Inglewood. I just had a listing right now that came through for $25,000 for 3-bedroom, 2 bath. $25,000. Of course, though, this needs some rehab. You can see those are situations where they are out there, but very rare these days.
Oh, it's very rare.
Because that same property right down the street is selling for $250. Well, okay, I'm going to pick this for $25, and I'm going to sell it for $250. Hey, this is a money-making opportunity.
I mean, there's still a couple of properties that you can get, but it's not as as much as when say 2 years ago. I mean, when the red line was actually announced from 95th go back to 130th. I mean, and that's where it started. And as a matter of fact, if you go back to 106th, 7th, 8th on the east side, the city already bought those up.
Okay.
I mean, those are already closed up, and by the tracks, you can't even. We were over there looking at stuff. It's like it's sold out.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably eminent domain, of course.
Well, because we did a big thing with CTA, just talking about their extension, and real estate was a big issue. A lot of real estate around the zone was being gobbled up.
Oh yeah, it's totally being gobbled up. Yeah. Roseland is being gobbled up slowly. West Pullman has been gobbled up slowly. Anything out south, but I that's cool. I don't mind the fact that there's, not say that I don't mind, but I like the fact that the property prices in those areas is bringing that neighborhood more wealth.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Which some people say, hey, I'm getting wealth.
So when am I going to get the normality from the north side to the south side? When am I going to send them back in equality? Is that going to happen anytime soon?
I think it's in the works right now. I think that's what's happening. I think seeing the prices go up in these neighborhoods that was stagnant for years. It's a good sign that there's people who are coming in who want to invest in that community.
Now, is it the issue that I'm starting to see white girls and white boys jogging down the streets in Inglewood? Is that part of this whole story?
Well, I saw white girls and white boys jogging alongside with black girls and black boys and Hispanics, and you're seeing that diversity on the south side. And I think it's a great opportunity because it's still affordable for a lot of people who live in the city. And there's opportunities where you could buy a place for $25,000 and rehab it, and now it's worth more than that.
Right.
That opportunity is still there.
And again, the logic is buy low, sell high. Yeah. I'm going to make that happen. But the real issue right now, real estate is always a commodity that I think you want to have in your balance sheet. And if I got to do something, if I'm going to live in something, I really want to own it. And it's a format trying to educate my daughter and say, look, I'm going to be giving you real estate, so you're going to have this as an ownership. Just don't let it go. And right now, you got this property, utilize it, and build, buy some more. So, well, I don't like to rent. So, well, you can let somebody else manage it and rent it. You just buy it. So that's the key.
I remember me and Alex had a conversation, I think at one time, where we were talking about, people coming into the neighborhood and making the neighborhood great. There's other people. I think this conversation we were talking about the fact that, as people move from the north side back to the south side because of the price of it. You know what I'm saying? You can get, and personally, I have moved many people from the north side to the south side. And the fact that and anyone who wants to do that, I encourage them to say, why struggle into a 1-bedroom paying $1,500 a month? We can get a whole house for $1,500 a month,
exactly.
Right? Why do that? So I encourage people to do that, to think about it. And some people say, I don't want to move to the south side.
Yeah, location.
But you moving on the south side, and you and John and Peter and whoever from the north side moving south, helps the south side get better.
Yeah.
Right? Get shot. They got gunfight all over the place.
I think Humboldt Park, what's happening in Humboldt Park is a good example.
Humboldt Park. Yeah.
Of like, that was a neighborhood who had a reputation.
Gun capital.
Yes, but now that is changing, and yes, there's some complaints about like maybe now the rising of property taxes, but the other side, there's new development, there's new businesses that's coming into that neighborhood. There's new opportunity for employment for those people that's living in that community.
And
it's
an
not bad. Yeah.
It's an investment people have to understand. If you move into these areas where you can actually get in, turn it into value, the eyes are there. Corporate America is looking at where these dollars are going, and they're going to determine, am I going to invest in these communities? And if you can prove that, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to have the people here, we're going to be buying product, then they will come.
Yes.
I think the south side is just ripe right now for people to buy and invest. Because like she just mentioned, the west side. The west side has really gone up in pricing. I know, personally. It's gone up.
I look at the West Loop. I'm like, oh, look at these things going through the roof here.
West Loop, Humboldt Park, just going west. It has really gone up in pricing. It's not what it was when I first purchased over there. It has gone up. So I think the south side now is ripe. The north side has been tapped out. You can't find anything that, you can still find affordable, depends on of course your income, right? But for the average guy who's making $40,000, $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, the north side is tapped out.
Okay.
So I encourage folks, and that's why I do a lot of work on the south side, but you say, go south, buy your property, take your family on the south side of the city, get into a home instead of being locked into a 10 by 10 apartment, right? So I encourage folks all the time, what can you afford? You can't afford anything on the north side of the city.
Has the model changed? Location, or is that still the case?
It's still the case.
Yeah.
It's still the case, but yet there's time when your dollars will take you where you're supposed to be. And if you don't have enough dollars to go, in certain areas on the lakefront, you gotta go someplace else. But remember, you going someplace else will also help that neighborhood to change. I want to impress them, because people got to understand. Don't have the mindset that this area is bad. You have the mindset that I'm going to move into that area, and that area will change, because we've seen it change on the west side.
Because what makes that community that way is the people that lives there. So if you come into that community, there's going to be more people who follow, and you are the one who changed that community.
But I got little Willie down the block.
You are the one that changed that community. Whatever you do and what you provide to that community is what makes it great. Lakeview is great because of the people who lives there. If you want to be close to the lakefront, we have a lakefront on the south side. Come to that area, experience a house instead of an apartment, and live walking distance from the lakefront. And you will see that as more people wake up to the idea, that makes that community better. And the businesses will come because they see that you are there. Because at the end of the day, it's you and your neighbor that make that community great.
So we built the block clubs, we built the community, and we make this a better location.
Exactly. And that can change. A community can change in a short period of time. And once again, you can look at Humboldt Park, you can look at Pilsen, these are areas which had a reputation at one point, but is now the hot spot to be, as far as like, restaurants and grocery stores or any entertainment, that things that you are looking for in a community.
Okay. So what's the next guess? Chicago. Am I going to stay here in Chicago, or am I going to move to New York? Am I going to move to LA? Am I going to move down to Miami? What's the hot spot?
Chicago.
They're all overpriced, man. They're all, I mean, if you go to New York, LA, it's just overpriced.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
So you're saying Chicago's not going to make that, huh?
Well, let me see, we're not in a bubble.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not in a bubble. Other than, I mean, San Francisco is in a small bubble. I don't think it's, you know, but we in Chicago, we still have affordability. Okay. And that's one of the things that people from out of town come to buy in Chicago, because the affordability is still available here.
It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
New York is crazy. I mean, you know, what you pay for rent in New York is crazy. Yeah. And New York and LA and Boston, you know.
Yeah, I'm just with the client. She has to get an apartment for her son in New York, $2,000 a month. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so, and this is a studio. Oh,
it is.
God, you're gonna kill me here with a studio apartment for $2,000.
You know, I just talked to a guy from North Carolina. He's like, man, you know, I've been looking around to get something, and he called, you know, in Chicago. So Chicago, even other people from other states know that the affordability in Chicago is still a great buy. Okay. You know, that they can come here and invest in any neighborhood, really, because if you take the north side of Chicago and part of New York, the north side is like, you know, it's the prices are so much less than what's in New York. Right?
You know, the taxes may kill you here in Illinois, but hey, you can still live more comfortably than being in those other places. But actually, I do like Texas. I do like that tax-free zone. I don't want to have to worry about paying the state taxes and things of that nature. So,
well, keep writing those letters to your government officials to make
so
that change.
We got to go to Springfield, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
It's one of those deals. So, what about you, young lady? I've been hearing that the people are looking at the actual taping and say, hey, is she married? So, well,
where's that coming? Come on.
Who said that?
She's a beautiful young lady. She's going to be making over money pretty soon. So they want to say, okay, so we're going to have to get her to sell a property. You never know.
Sell a couple of properties, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, anything's possible. Actually, my parents met because my mom was selling her property. So,
see?
Anything
happened.
You're saying that's the perfect model here. Like, okay, want to get your property sold? Hey, you never know what can happen here. Get in. I can see the bells now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to come back to encouraging multi-unit people, because you know, I want to encourage building owners, if they're looking. Don't forget to reach out and try to find a decent property manager, because of what I see, what other property managers see, and all that is involved with it. And the reason why I want to come back to that, because I talked to a couple of people and they're like, oh, I don't want to get a property manager, and I really encourage them to do that, because it's they're the stakeholders that are in those particular unit. The value will absolutely grow and get better. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of growing pains, because the property manager will come in and say, listen guys, you need X, Y, and Z to get this property done. You need to, you know, there's some issues here. So I want to stress that, because there's a lot of properties that are managed by individuals that's not qualified to do that.
Right.
So we want to be able to ask, you know, tell them to go out and seek that person, whoever that person is. I don't care who it is, as long as they know what they're doing, get a recommendation from somebody. Okay. But they need to go ahead and do that, just so that.
So bottom line, for a property manager, how do I find them?
Well, hold on. I want to say so, because the value, and this is what I want to tell, you know, the public, the value of your property will increase more with a property manager than if you do it yourself, because you're so involved in, oh, this is my house or this is my building, and I don't want to we're not going to pay anyone to do this. We want to say, get a recommendation from somebody, and you will note that you can sit back, watch your property manager work with your property manager, because the property manager can't do it all alone. He or she needs the board to come along to say, how can we make this better? He or she needs that. Coming as a property manager, they know that, okay, I need you to approve certain things, disapprove certain things, and have a plan. So sit with your property manager and say, we want to do this, we want to show this, we want to make sure that we have a reserve, make sure that we have enough money in our budget. Walk her roof, walk the roof, just make sure the roof is good, that, or if there's a problem with the roof, how can we extend the life of the roof? Because there's certain things that a property manager may recommend to say, you know what, Mr. Board, I know you don't have a lot of money, but if we do this and this and this, we can get 5 more years out of this roof while we save for the rest of the roof. Right. So, I just want to reiterate that, because I think that's so important.
So the real question comes back then: how do they contact Mills Realty?
You can go to millsreal.com. Okay. and but millsreal.com, and I'll connect you with whoever you want to be connected with. Okay. But it's so important, and I wanted to stress that because it's important. It's very, very important to get a property manager, especially if you have a multi-unit commercial building. Done.
And again, we're just saying, we've had you guys for a very short period of time. We've gone through a lot of issues and questions, trying to say, hey, we can help people if they have property they need maintained. We've got the city of Chicago that's trying to give you dollars to get things done. We have Mills Realty that's, hey, being able to direct you exactly where you need to go to get things done. So these are some items that we've tried to accomplish today to get on the table. So right now, you guys had a chance to at least review what we've been trying to educate you on. Just remember that, hey, you heard it here, and right now CAN TV is trying to educate everybody to get things done and make things happen. So that's really what we want to do.
All right, so I want to be specific with try to, if you have a co-op, a condo, Center for Shared Ownership is a great tool if you're having problems. Center for Shared Ownership, you can connect with them. They're a great source to teach you about property management, to guide you through your issues about property management, and to make sure that your building survives. Center for Shared Ownership. Okay, great source for if you're having issues with your property.
Okay. Another source we've talked about, again, things that people need to know and understand. So hey, that was the objective for today, and I think we did a good job.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
I'm gonna have to start singing the song. But oh, today.
Looking for